the truth.
Hey everyone. Hello all of my wonderful subscribers and everybody watching. Hello all of the viewers out there. Everybody who is seeking some guidance right now. Everybody who is struggling with something. Everybody who is not struggling with something. Everybody who just wants to learn. Everybody who is alive. Hello. It's good to have you here. It really is. This is a really important topic. This is something that I've been noticing more and more with my subscribers, with people in general commenting, and with myself really too. I want to retouch on this subject and go a little bit deeper into what this is all about. Instead of just having, one video, I think I'm gonna keep making more posts about this hyperbody awareness or somatic OCD, Sensimotor OCD, whatever you want to call it. There's more help needed with that. This disorder is nasty, let me tell you this much. And it's unfortunate because it's very easy to not even realize that you're suffering from OCD when you're suffering from somatic OCD. Also refer to this as a somatosensory disorder. It can seem like you're never going to get better from this. It's very fundamental. So heterogeneous basically means a variety of OCD symptoms, but all kind of entailing into the same disorder. Makes it more complicated. It can make it harder to treat. So since it's a heterogeneous disorder, it's difficult. There's a lot of different things that can spur up in you or that can really just cause you distress. It's very easy to be confused at what you have. It's easy to not recognize it in yourself. It's easy to get mixed up with, is it some other disorder? What exactly is it? Why do I have this? Why am I worried so much about my bodily sensations? Like, why am I interfering? What's needed is more of a strategic explanation, a strategic strategy to treat this disorder, because this is a treatable condition. It really is. It's not unknown, like you're screwed. There's so much hope with this. There is. It just is going to be more technical and more strategic than you think it's going to be to get better in this. My last video kind of just ran through the disorder and how I felt with it and how I got over it myself. And I said I never went to a professional for hyperbody awareness. It was my pure OCD, which does tie into it. They are related, the two, because it still is a form of bad thought, intrusive thought, pure OCD. Hyperbody awareness is linked to that pretty closely. The key is basically identifying your triggers. So identifying your goals and identifying our root fears with hyperbody awareness. So what I want to talk about first, what are our fears with hyperbody awareness? So why are we attaching ourselves to these sensations? First of all, somebody without OCD might have a thought that comes in their head about their breathing or their blinking, but they don't attach themselves. They don't have that anxiety response, and so there isn't a cycle that is started because it's not irrational. There's not an irrational response given to that thought, and so it's not exactly known why. I believe I don't really know why. I mean, maybe someone else out there does, other than inheritance and the way our DNA, our upbringing is different, and the way, things that we go through, traumas, stresses, all of these things can play a factor in whether or not we are going to be susceptible and develop OCD one day in our life. I just don't know. We've got to start from step one, the very first time you have these thoughts. What happens is like you have an awareness of a bodily sensation or something happens to you that you just find out of the ordinary, like that you gave an extra thought to perhaps one day. It can be very little. It can be something so small. And it's important to recognize that because it also plays a role in identifying your triggers later on about what exactly your triggers are to restart the cycle over again. And then we'll get to that. So it could be anything, basically. So whether or not you're suffering from being aware of your bodily functions or not. What happens is we have an inappropriate response right away. And so that is where we go wrong before we even know we are. It's unfortunate because if we knew back when it first happened, we could stop the whole cycle from starting, but that's not the point because we're already here. But it's time to lift ourselves out of this pit, out of this darkness, this confusion, this self-fear. It's very distressing times. I cannot let people sit and just deal with it and not have any hope. And I feel like it's not easy for people to go to a medical professional, to get up and walk to the mental health practitioner that you're going to see and to get help and to talk about this, because it's awkward. It's not something that is very well known. There's a stigma around it. That is part of the fears behind all of this, is like what people are going to think. It's just craziness. Like, it's just so much involved. So that's why I really hope, like, if somebody can watch this video, instead of going to the doctor, which I'm not saying you shouldn't go, I'm just saying in case you're Googling for something, maybe you'll stumble upon this, because Googling doesn't always help. So I'm trying to give a better shot at there being something out there for somebody. Basically, we're trying to get rid of that sensation when we first have it. Like, we're like, okay, like, we immediately kind of have like shit, like, what if I can't stop thinking of my breathing? What if I can't stop thinking of the swallowing? Like, what if? So it's a bunch of what ifs. It's a bunch of doom and glooms and a bunch of irrational responses. And those thoughts trigger the anxiety cycle, which will keep us in this cycle overall, that keep the awarenesses and these thoughts there. It's a cycle, because our reaction is what triggered this, because we're already susceptible to this disorder. But then the cycle kind of snowballs to notice that they're not going away because you're forcing them out. There are things called compulsions, and mental compulsions are a thing. Mental compulsions are what we're doing without even realizing it. So it's mental rituals. Compulsions are basically something to help with the anxiety, something to avoid the symptom and avoid the anxiety that it elicits upon us. Basically, all we know to do is repeat this cycle. And that is the hardest thing of all, is all we seem to know what to do is to repeat the cycle. That gives you a tiny bit of relief, these rituals in your head that you play out when you have these symptoms that come up. There is something that you do every time that you might not recognize. It could be thinking of something else. It could be forcing yourself to control the bodily function, like your breathing, your swallowing, your blinking, whatever. Not letting it happen naturally, just interfering with it every time so you have the control and not the thoughts, which doesn't make sense because your body does it without you needing to think, and so interfering with it is not natural off the bat. These mental rituals could be anything. It can also be physical too, which is more common. Avoiding exposure to the symptoms is the problem, is really where the cycle continues. Even when we think we've like gotten rid of our problems, like even we think, okay, yep, I know this won't last forever, but why isn't it going away? You know, you might be like, I thought I did it right. It's still here though. So are you noticing these mental compulsions, these mental rituals that are going on that we have to eliminate and stop participating? It's basically the treatment that I believe works the best for this is exposure response prevention, where we expose ourselves to our symptoms without avoiding and with allowing ourselves to experience the anxiety. We have to face it. You can't keep avoiding it. And so that is scary at first, and it really is. And it's not always good to do this like when you're super busy or when you're already stressed out or when you're out and about and stuff. But it's always good to try a little bit at least. Once you've found the level of which you can handle it and make it work for you, it's good to do it all the time. So the step is identifying your rituals, noticing these cognitive rituals that are going on in your head. And like, it could be anything from just thinking of something else to literally controlling your bodily functions, like I said, all of that. But before we do that, we also need to set goals. So you need to have a goal of what you want to achieve. What my goal is for you guys is to allow yourself to experience your symptoms, experience this hyper body awareness, as unpleasant as it is, allowing yourself to just effortlessly be uncomfortable. Give up your rituals. give up your little things that you do that you think help you feel better, because it's not helping you. It's not helping you in the long run at all. It's keeping this cycle going much longer than it needs to. It's not fair to you, and it's unnecessary stress and fear and anxiety and just detrimental whatever feelings that you feel inside of you. It's just not necessary at all. So we have to be able to set goals with exposure and response prevention. We have to be able to, one, set a goal and what it is that we want to reach. Two, identify the triggers, so what it is that triggers us to have these thoughts and to have these worries and to start being fixated on our breathing, etc., etc. And so it's important to realize that there are all sorts of different triggers that everybody has. It could be anything from like exercising to being alone to taking a deep breath for some reason that you normally maybe wouldn't, hearing something that somebody said, like if somebody said the word swallowing and then all of a sudden, oh, your mind's fixated to the swallowing. So it's important to recognize those triggers so we're better prepared to systematically confront your symptoms, to systematically experience them the way we need to. So the way to basically short circuit the anxiety cycle that is keeping them on. So once you identify these triggers, I would write them down, what you notice. I would just write them down and in your notes app or something, or on a piece of paper, or whatever you want. And that will help you to remember and to not be shocked and startled the next time you have symptoms, the next time you get whatever, the next time you get attached to one of your bodily sensations or have these thoughts. Once we know what causes us to go through this crazy awareness and this distressing awareness of our bodily symptoms, once we know what our goals are with this, and once we know what triggers our distressing awareness, the hyperbody awareness, and all of these symptoms, we can then systematically and strategically, both, I guess, respond to these symptoms. And so what we need to do, whether or not it's your blinking, your breathing, your tongue movements, or anything, I'm not going to keep naming them off, but we have to reach a point of habituation with them. And so habituation is basically a decrease in our anxiety. We have to learn to get to habituation. So we have to recognize when our anxiety is lessened, because it can happen and it will. So the more often, and this won't happen right away, we have to learn practice. We have to learn time and dedication. I just want you to be prepared to spend time and prepared to try. When I say that time, effort, and persistence and practice is needed with this, don't worry about that. That is a necessary part of the process. And so just be inspired by the fact that we need to be more stubborn, more persistent, and more passionate for our overall being and life and everything we've worked for than this pesky little disorder, this pesky, annoying, distressing cognitive problem that is messing with our attention and messing with our bodily functions and just messing with our emotions, and eventually it can interfere with just our productivity in life and where we're headed. And so that's not at all where I want to see anybody going. That's not at all where you have to go. You are not trapped in this. I want you to know that you are not too far gone. You are not trapped. You are not irredeemable. You're not unfixable. You're not unhealable. You can understand this. You can learn, and you can start no matter where you're at. You have hope. Okay, so on with the part of habituation. It could happen, habituation can happen really fast. It can happen within a short period of time. It can be a very small decrease in our anxiety, or it can be a larger, more noticeable decrease in our anxiety when we are experiencing our symptoms without avoiding, without performing a ritual. We are less distressed by noticing a decrease in distress from these symptoms. We have to reach that point where we are less distressed from these symptoms. It's important to remember that it's not about how often or the number of symptoms that we experience. It's about our reaction. It's about how we feel through experiencing these awarenesses, because that's what's keeping it there. It's not the number that matters. It's our given reaction to them that matters the most, because that will allow our minds to learn to let go of these sensations. That will finally reach that point of like flow in your head, that point of flow where you can flow from thought to thought. You can allow yourself to think normally and to have a normal state of mind where you are rational, peaceful, and mindful, and inquisitive and knowledgeable. And it's really something that everyone deserves, and everybody can achieve this beautiful mind. And you have a beautiful mind even with this. It's just suffering right now, and that's why I'm here to help you. I really mean it, and I really hope that this helps. So remember, exposure and response prevention. I'm gonna link down below where I got this information from. This article was super good, so please click the link below and check it out. It gave me a lot of knowledge for this video, and so I want to credit that and make sure that you guys read that article, because it goes over even in more detail than what I'm saying right now. Whoever wrote that is very smart, and so it's the truth. This is how I overcame my symptoms and my anxiety, because I was having bad enough breathing OCD and bad enough hyperbody awareness that I literally would have like points where I'd be hyperventilating, where I thought I was gonna have to go to the hospital or pass out, or I never thought I was gonna get better, or I didn't have any hope. It was scary. It was nuts. It was all of those things. It was confusing and just convoluted and blah blah blah. And this is where I am now. If I can reach this point, you can too. I believe in you. I absolutely do. And so I'm gonna, go over the steps in the description so it's a little bit more clear, because I tend to ramble a little bit, but that's what I'm gonna do. And I hope that this exposure response prevention that you can use for PRO and hyperbody awareness, it's all in the same spectrum of disorders pretty much. I know that it's going to help you guys, and so just remember to set the goal of what it is that you need to achieve. So set your goals on what you want to see happen for you, and that's basically, I'm assuming, to stop thinking about these things going on with your body, to identify your triggers, and to systematically and strategically respond to your symptoms through unavoidance, acceptance, and habituation, eventual habituation of decrease in your anxiety, decrease in distress through experiencing these thoughts and these awarenesses. And remember to love your body. Remember to love, please. I'm gonna end this video with a message of love. And I cannot express to you how important love is in every realm of our life, especially right now when we're going through something so hard, so distressing, to the point where it can lead us to very dark spots. And that's why I'm also going to leave some suicide hotline prevention and help and therapy links down below, just in case you're having a really hard time, just in case you're not doing well, because that is an emergency, and that is definitely something that needs to be taken like immediately seriously, because it's not the answer. That is never okay. There is so much hope, and that is why I'm here to help you. And so I just want you to know that you are loved and you are cherished by me, by someone out there, by God, by the spirits of the world, whatever it is that you believe in. Just love yourself and all of your awarenesses, all of your quirks, your idiosyncrasies, all of your differences, all of your struggles, and all of your goals, and succeed on things that you'll succeed in. There's so much life to be lived, and don't miss out on a second of it. I don't want you to miss out on any of your life, your unique life that you get to live. You are unlike no other. You really are. I don't know who you are, but you're unlike no one. Or you're unlike everyone, basically. And so, Yeah, and you deserve to feel better. You deserve to have a free and open mind, and you deserve many good things in your life. And so that's what I want to help you achieve. And so I hope this video helps you a little bit more along your way with recovering from pure OCD and hyperbody awareness. And I'm going to have so much more come along the way soon. I have a lot of other different type of creative projects that I'm working on, like a little bit of different ventures, you know, all relating to mind, body, spirit, though ultimately with the message entailing into that. And so I hope you guys stick around, hit the subscribe button, and I will be back soon. Bye guys.
I just wanna be the one you love. I just wanna be the one you love.
Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Hello, and welcome back to my hello. Hello, and welcome back to my channel.